This is the onlineitinerant.com. This is our website. And this is on the top banner up here is our different information about what is happening inside the online itinerant. So we've got lots of trainings. And then there are two major programs that we have. Inside the major programs, we've got the Professional Academy, which is geared towards any professional that I like to say loves on a child who has hearing loss. So it might be a teacher, it might be an interpreter, it might be a speech and language pathologist, it might be a administrator, it could be anybody. Or that's who we open up the Professional Academy to. And then we've got the Friend Academy, and our Friend Academy is our parent program. So the Friend Academy stands for Family Resources, Information, and Education for navigating the deaf community or the deaf community that for navigating the deaf journey is what the Friend Academy stands for. This is for any family member or caretaker of a child who has hearing loss. And the goal is just to be able to support you and walk alongside of you. And really the dream is when we've got both the professional and the families together that are both in the academy because a lot of information inside overlaps. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you a little bit tonight. When you come up to the top here, you can click on the little icon, and the icon will let you know that you are already logged in, that you are a member and you log in and you can see your library. And this is what it looks like inside the library. Now, mine is going to look a tiny bit different than maybe yours does, but not much. So first of all, everybody who's in the academy has got a lot of opportunity to connect with me. But sometimes you want just extra one-on-one, very dig deep. Let me ask you some really significant questions. Sometimes you're working on a specific case. Sometimes it's a little sensitive. Sometimes you just want some one-on-one mentoring, and that's always available. So anybody can always purchase some one-on-one mentoring with me. We also have extra resources that are special that you can only get through the app. So if you don't have the app yet, I want to invite you to go to the App Store and search for the Online Itinerant. And you will see that there is actually offers in there that is exclusive to the apps. Inside of here are some free resources that are free handouts and so forth, but also specific for teachers and especially for itinerants who travel. There are some secret hacks, so things that will make your job easier, and you can access them through the app. You might not have this on your desktop if you have not added the app. But inside, there are a number of other things in here that is a portion of your library if you are a member. So the user guides are specific kind of outlines. There's a lot of goodies that the online itinerant offers, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. So if you are just a specific maybe birth to six provider, and you just want to see what resources are good for me, for this population, then there's a user guide that just outlines those things. If you are just looking for beginning of the year in-service information for just kickstarting the year, then there are these specific resources. So that's what these user guides are. This is something new this year, and it's being added to and built on. So keep coming back and seeing what's inside. Keeping track of your completed trainings, I'm going to show you that in a minute. And then we've got this section here. This is a very important section to me because it's about our tea days. Any tea day is kind of a community day. So today is Tuesday, and this is what we do. This is our Tuesday tour. Thursdays, we get together, and it's not so much me speaking, but it is either a training that we have, or it is a power hour where people are coming together, asking the hard questions, sharing the resources that each other utilizes, and just getting together as people in the community. These are really great favorites of people. People really enjoy getting together and connecting with the community, and this happens on Thursdays. This is your toolbox. We're going to go inside of it in a little bit. And then our bonus trainings, which happens the first Thursday, as I mentioned, of the month. That's what we've got happening next week. And then this is what professionals have, and the on-demand trainings inside the Professional Academy. And then parents have this right here. It's called the Friend Academy. This is the parent trainings. Now, In case you're not sure about this, or in case this is new information, any teacher who is a member of the professional academy actually can provide parent memberships for free to the Friend Academy. So this is a really special and unique and important opportunity because typically the Friend Academy is $199 a year, just like similar price to what the Professional Academy is. But the goal is to be able to support professionals and families coming alongside each other and being able to really get to connect well. And so anytime a teacher is in the Professional Academy, they get coupon codes for families to join for free. So that is $199 value per family. And this supports the teachers, the professionals, to be able to say, hey, there's a training on Thursday night about working with interpreters and how interpreters can support the children inside the classroom. I think that would be a great training for you to go to. Or professionals can say, hey, there's a power hour that's specially for parents. I think you might really enjoy it. Or the professional can say, I'm working on this certain skill in the toolbox. You can do this at home. Or parents can say, what are these skills that they're working on? What do I need to know as a parent? And what are the trainings that I need to know about? So today I want to give you a quick little peek inside the Friend Academy so that you can get a sense of what our parent trainings are. And we're going to talk about some of them here in a minute. But inside the Friend Academy, these are all trainings that that pertain to parents. Some of them are especially for parents, but not all of them. Some of them are very unique to parents. For example, the whole section that is called The Impact of Hearing Loss. These trainings are all specific towards parents to be able to help you understand the impact of the hearing loss on your child. It actually gives you the special lens that you get to see it. You get to observe it, you get to analyze it, and then you can become the expert on how this hearing loss is impacting your child. I do like to point out this is non-communication specific. It is also non-age specific. It is truly geared towards giving you the lens of how your child might be impacted by a hearing loss that you may not have noticed before. So we like to say there are 5 major barriers to hearing loss. There's communication and language. There's learning. There's accessing the environment around you. There's what we call incidental learning. That's the things that you pick up just by overhearing people and kind of being in the environment of other things. And then there is social and emotional development. So you get a special training on how these things, how hearing loss can impact these things, and then you get action steps and tools to be able to view it in your child. There's also additional trainings about identifying the true impact, but also the truth about summer and how summer can be very challenging for kids with hearing loss because it can be very lonely and isolating. And then also when we're looking at holiday gatherings and how that can feel for kids who have hearing loss, and you as a parent, how you can support that for them and make that so that it is a positive experience. These are our parent trainings that were created especially for parents. Now, also inside the Friend Academy, we've got other trainings that are also a part of the Professional Academy. And these include different things that will help you kind of come in to the education arena and just kind of have a better sense of what we're talking about at IEPs, what modifications and accommodations are helpful for your child, what is captioning, what is interpreting, what are all of these things that we're having the discussion about so that you can feel more part of that team. Then there is the section about deaf plus additional disabilities. We've got a whole section on IEP and legal considerations, language and literacy, self-advocacy and transition, social and emotional development, and technology. Now, all of these are also in the professional academy. So many of the trainings are the same trainings. So if you look in here, this is another great example of how, as a teacher, you can actually point to different trainings. So, for example, perhaps you want to talk about language and literacy, or self-advocacy and transition is a popular one, all of them actually. But you can actually say, hey, I want you to look at this training. Let's watch it together, or I think it would be very beneficial for you. This is where one of the trainings are that I would love to showcase for you tonight. And that training is called Travel Tips for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Students and Individuals. So this is a fantastic training now that we're kind of gearing up and we're getting ready to head into spring break here in the next month or 6 weeks or so. This is a really helpful training that students should see, parents should see, teachers should see, parents should watch with their students, teachers should watch with their students, because it talks about what do you need to know when about traveling as a person with hearing loss. And it's put on by Tina Childress. If you're familiar with Tina, Tina's pretty amazing. She is an audiologist who is also a bilateral cochlear implant user. So she was an audiologist first. She went deaf. She became deaf. She got cochlear implants, but she also is very immersed into the deaf community. So what's really just neat is that she can really speak from all different kinds of perspectives of living with as a professional, but also living with a hearing loss and being a part of the community as well. Our trainings are generally interpreted, and we also have them broken up into what we call micro modules. So you'll notice here, the longest one we've got is 20 minutes. So the goal of these trainings is to help you so that you can just listen a little bit at a time. So if you're somebody who's on the road or you just don't have a lot of time, you can just target into whatever you're wanting to listen to. B, you can just listen a little bits at a time so that you can kind of process it and maybe apply it. Or if you're just traveling from point A to point B and you only have 15 minutes, then you can listen to a section of this. So you'll notice in this particular training, she's going to give some of her background, but she's also going to talk about traveling on planes. If you've ever heard of a situation in an airport where a deaf person got off of an airplane and they were greeted with a wheelchair, and they were told that they had to be escorted to the next gate in a wheelchair because that was the rules of the airplane, because they had a disability, and that's what their understanding of the disability is. She's going to talk about that. What is that and why is that and how can we avoid that? So she talks about traveling on planes. She talks about traveling on trains. She talks about going on cruise ships. She talks about what to pack and what to take with you. She talks about hotels and staying and lodging. And it's really just a great training for everybody. So I can't recommend this training enough, especially as we are starting to step into spring break and getting ready. So let me just pause for a quick second. Are there any questions about trainings that are inside of the Friend Academy? Is there anything that you're wondering if it's in there or that you kind of caught a glimpse at and you've got a little bit of a question about? Is there anything that I can answer for you about that? Okay, I don't see any questions, so I will move on. But if you're wondering where that is under the, I think it's under self-advocacy and transition. Let me just double check that. Yep, right here, travel tips. So if you are looking for that, that is where that is. Okay, so I am going to go back to my library again. And I do want to point out that when it comes to the on-demand trainings, these are the ones that are inside the professional academy for professionals. Again, my library is going to look a little bit different from yours just because I've got everything literally in there. But again, we've got all of these different sections. So these are the sections that we've got. We do have a full list. So if you want to just click on this and go through the list, it does give you each and every training, who's presenting, how long it is, and what it's about. But inside each one of these areas, there is more trainings. So social and emotional development, you can open this up and you'll see a number of trainings. The library is also always changing, or it's always growing. So next fall, we will have more trainings in the library, and we will also have new trainings. Something I do want to point out to people, because I do know that there are a lot, we have over 50 hours of trainings. Okay, that's a lot of trainings. This right here is where you can keep track of your trainings. It's called Keep Track of Your Completed Trainings. And this is actually another way just to see what all you have access to. You can come to this section and then you can just scan and scroll all of the different trainings that we have. And actually, if you want to watch a training that you see, like for example, we've got this assistive technology training. If you're like, oh, I think I would like to see that training, you can click on this section right here. And if you've seen it, you can mark it as complete up here. But if you haven't seen it and you would like to see it, then you can go directly there from this area. So it's really just another way to access the different trainings that is a little bit easier for some people to view. Okay, couple more things I'd like to show you, and that is we're going to dig into the toolbox tonight. And I would like to showcase a few March activities because we have a lot of activities in this toolbox. We have over 300 activities, and you can see all the different areas that we have activities for. So again, we do have a list. This section right here is is a catalog of everything that we have. So you can actually click in here and you can see all of the different resources that we have. And it will take you directly there. You can click exactly on the item and it will take you directly there. This is a little easier for people to navigate sometimes. And this is in alphabetical order. And it's a nice way just to kind of get a sense of what all is here. Again, we have a lot of tools. If it's bright yellow, that means it's been added since the beginning of the year. So this is another thing that is just always growing. I am going to give you a little glimpse of some of our March tools because it's almost March, if you can believe that. Uh, you can easily kind of search for things. You'll see there is a little search magnifying glass right here. And if there is something that you ever want to find quickly, you can just put it into the search bar. So I am going to put March inside the search bar, and I will show you a few March activities that we have that are specific to March. And one of them is our calendar activity. Now, the calendar activity is a fantastic language activity. This is really for any age. I will tell you a lot of times the calendar language happens in kindergarten or first grade. Oftentimes, our children who have hearing loss are that language, they're not ready for the language of calendar yet. They don't have the concepts of yesterday, tomorrow, next week. They don't have that yet. And then oftentimes it's not covered again. After kindergarten, first grade, it is just kind of expected that kids know it, but it's not necessarily true. So we actually have a number of calendar activities inside of the toolbox. And this one is a really fun activity that is, again, great for any age. And you'll get an opportunity to kind of get a glimpse of this. So there is a calendar that comes up. There's actually multiple calendars. So when you get in here, you get to click and you'll see there's different calendars. Whoops, I see there's a quick little error that will need to get fixed here. There's 3 calendars. So we've got calendar 1, then we've got, this should say calendar 2, and then the next one is calendar 3. They actually each get a little bit more complicated each time. So there's more language, there's more information that's on here, and it changes. So what you do is if you have your phone right here, you can actually get the QR code. You can take a peek at what this activity is. So you get your camera, you get your QR code. This is actually great for any time you've got a child on a tablet. And so you can see this is actually what we've got in here. We've actually have 7 calendar activities. And you can see exactly how the lessons go. So for calendar 1, you can actually take your own calendar and you can work on your activities. But calendar 2, you have them circle the date that's the same as your age. So I would, if we're on the computer, I would say point to the date that's the same as your age. And then there are just lots of different activities on here. And what I love to do is if you are back in the section over here, right? I actually take this section on my Zoom, on the computer on Zoom, and I actually make it so that they can actually circle things on the screen. Sometimes it will say draw a heart on something or make a happy face, and you can actually do that from your computer screen. You don't actually need to download anything. You don't need to print anything or download anything. You can all just do it all from your screen. So this helps build in a lot of language for the month and a lot of calendar concepts. It's really quite fun. My students absolutely love it. And this can kind of gear you up for March. Let me get out of here. The other March activity I like to show you is this Ready to Go St. Patrick's Day. This one is specific towards listening and spoken language. So this one is specific for building what we call auditory discrimination. That's being able to hear the differences in words and sounds. So this is all related to the month of March and St. Patrick's Day, but it walks you through all of these things. So this one is that the child is just going to be listening, and you give 2 words, and they have to identify, are these words the same or are they different? So you can see we've got gold and we've got goal. So these sound very similar. So it really is working of the muscle to be able to listen and identify whether these words are the same or different. And then it advances to the beginning of sounds and then to the ends of sounds, and then speaking in categories. So items that are, name 3 to 6 items that are, and then you can choose green, golden, lucky, or magical. What we call auditory memory, which is working memory. That's where you have to remember the order of the words. Auditory directions. So kind of all the skills that are required to really build those auditory listening skills. Now, I use this as a warm-up. This will sometimes be, I'll take 5 minutes. This is just to kind of get us tuned up and get us ready to go. And I just do what I can do in 5 minutes and then I put it away. And then maybe I will do a different activity the next time I see the child. You can download the full activity. You'll notice there's a way that you can keep the data and you can check to make, you can keep little check marks to make sure, to document whether they were able to hear it or not. Let me just take a quick peek at the question here. Courtney said that the QR code was not working. It wasn't working for me either. So I will definitely be looking into that. And iPhone says, can we share the activities with families? The goal is actually that the families would be part of the Friend Academy. And when they're members of the Friend Academy, they actually get all of these activities. They get the toolbox as well. So absolutely, this is exactly what you want to do. And there's actually some ways to go about that. So when you invite them to become a member of the Friend Academy, then you can say, hey, we have been working on these auditory skills, or we're working on these calendars, and you can actually send them the link and they can get in and they can do the exact same thing. There also that you can, that's the best way to do it. That's how I love to do it the most. You can download these activities and also send them. So that works as well. So yes, absolutely. Can you share the activities with families? But again, what the goal is for the families to actually be a part of this so that they can access these activities as well. So then they can also look around and find some and also work on them at home. So and sometimes it works the other way. I have parents that say, I was working on this with my child. Can you practice it also, or can you help them understand this concept because they didn't understand it and I was having a really hard time explaining it. And we have a ton of self-advocacy. I'm going to show you those next. A lot of self-advocacy activities, which are really great inside the toolbox as well. So these are great questions. Are there any other questions before I move on to another activity that I would love to show you? Okay. So last week I had sent out about Black History Month because February is Black History Month, and I would love to show you a few things that are in the toolbox that is not only great for Black history, but great for any time of the year. We're going to go down into the toolbox and we are going to go down to this section called self-identity and social emotional. When we click in here, we have all kinds of activities that just sort of help kids understand who they are with their hearing loss and that they're not the only person out there with that. So we've got lots of lessons that help with that. And we've even now added cued speech. And this one right here is a guess who game. This one, the spinner works for sure. I'm going to show you this. You can play along with me. So if you want to be the picker right now, you can zoom in on this QR code. And basically what happens is you will get the cards. You will get the cards that would normally be in this game. So I just clicked on it and you will see I've got a set of cards and it has a spinner. So you spin it and it will land on a person. Now, each one of these people is a deaf individual, and we will play this game right now with this card. So you've got the picker, and then you click here for the game board. So here is our game board, and I don't know if you're familiar with Guess Who or not, but it goes like this. Somebody is trying to figure out who you have in your hand. So for example, with this, you have to ask a yes or a no question. Now, this is actually a challenge for many students. This is a challenge just to ask yes or no because somebody will say, they'll say something like, what color are they wearing? And you say, nope, you can't ask that. You have to ask me a yes or no question. And you also have to teach how to pick out large groups of people. So maybe they'll say, does she have a crown? They'll say, no, she doesn't have a crown. And well, you can mark off one person. So you have to really kind of teach these skills. So usually, is it a guy? Well, the answer is yes, it is. So I am going to, actually, I'll brighten up all of our keys on here. And you just continue to eliminate until you get down to the person. So maybe I would say, are they Black? Now, this lesson does lead to our Black History Month. I'll show you that in a minute. But I'll say, is he Black? Nope, he's not Black. So we're going to Brighton, who we know it's not. And so we continually eliminate until we get to our person. So my person right here was Kyle Schulze, which by the way, if you're from Illinois, he is coming to Illinois. He is, goodness, American Ninja Warrior, the deaf ninja. He's amazing. And the kids will have an opportunity to actually meet him in real life. So you get to know him a little bit. But when you scroll down, every single one of these people actually has a lesson that's attributed to them. So here's Kyle. We're going to learn more about Kyle. So I go to Kyle and we have a video. There's usually an inspirational story about the person. Then there's usually something to read. So this is a great way if you're working on reading comprehension or listening comprehension. There's usually a story that you can read and ask comprehension questions. And then at the end of that, you have an activity where you get to learn what you have in common with that person. So here we are with Kyle. Kyle was born deaf, and you're working with your child or your student, and you identify, was that Kyle only, or is that both Kyle and this child? So we say, oh my gosh, I was born deaf too. So Kyle has a bilateral profound hearing loss. This is where you get to build in some of that language about what kind of hearing loss do you have? Is it unilateral? Is it bilateral? And you get to build in or reinforce a lot of that teaching. So this one goes in about how he lost his hearing, how he learned about it, how his family learned about his hearing. Kyle uses both spoken English and sign language. He also wears hearing aids. He moved to more than one school. So you can see you're just kind of going through each one of these things and you're talking about what Kyle has in common with this child. And every single person in this activity is always a really encouraging and inspirational person. So, Kyle, when he was a kid, he didn't know any deaf adults or role models. So this is a great way for you to say, do you know any? But Kyle wants to be a role model for other kids with hearing loss. What about you? Would you like to meet other kids? So anyway, you can see how this goes. And then at the end, it says, looking at the answers above, summarize what you and Kyle have in common. So you can just talk about it. I have my students write a journal about it. And the children really love to learn about all the different people that they actually have so much in common with. So just to give you another glimpse of this, where I had been going with the Deaf History Month is we actually have all kinds of Black History Month. We've got a number of people on here that we can learn about and talk about of all races and colors and backgrounds. So that's a kind of a fun way to plug into whatever you're focusing on for the month. Okay, I'm going to pause now. This is usually where I like to stop, and I like to stop sharing my screen, and I like to see what questions do we have? What materials, resources do you want to see, or are you curious about? And what can I show you? Bridget, do you have a question?
Now, I'm just going to tell you that I'm excited to try that activity you just showed me with the students. And I love
Yeah,
that they could read about people that they could identify with.
yeah.
I think
I'm
that's so important.
it's such a great activity because what we have in there is we've got all modes of communication. We've got unilateral loss, we've got bilateral loss, we've got cochlear implants, we've got deaf blind, we've got deaf plus additional disabilities, we there's really a nice diverse eclectic group of people, and every single one of them has an inspirational video and then something that you can identify, read about, and then learn how they are just like your child or student. So it is really a really special thing. And that is exclusive to this program, to the Professional Academy. You cannot find it, or to the Online Itinerant. You cannot find this one in Teachers Pay Teachers or anything like this. So it is inside of the self-identity section inside the toolbox. It's great. What else do people have questions about or wish you could see or need that I could say, oh, maybe I have that and I can point you in the right direction? Bridget, are you a member of one of our academies already?
Yes, I believe our district purchases the online itinerant.
Okay, the Professional Academy.
Yes.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Wonderful. All right. Well, then at this time, if I see there's a comment up here. Okay, great. Wonderful, Courtney. Courtney, I'm so excited that you are here as a parent. I absolutely just want to encourage you to kind of browse around, look at the trainings. There for the parent section, there is a section on top. Let me show you this because this is just really one of my favorites. And the person who teaches the parent trainings, the ones that were especially created for parents. Let me just come on in here and show you this. Okay, so this is the Friend Academy. If you're a professional, if you're a teacher, you can add your families for free inside the Professional Academy. You have a section that looks like this. You click inside of here and it gives you all the directions on how you can add your families. Okay, so your families any family can join the any family can join the Friend Academy, but it's typically $199 per family. So as a teacher, a professional inside the Professional Academy, your families can get it for free. Now, what we want is we want lots of families because parents need parents. Parents need other people to be able to connect with, just like our kids need other kids to connect with, and just like we need other professionals to connect with. So it's really part of the goal is to be able to help parents be able to connect with other parents. Inside the Friend Academy, there is a section called Turn Knowledge into Action. And, we can learn a lot, but until we can actually apply it and figure it out, it doesn't help us. So this section right here is how you can actually take the lens that you've learned about how does hearing loss impact your child, and it shows you how you can observe your child and maybe see things that maybe you didn't see before. And then how you can support your child. This is a really amazing technique. It's called prepare, engage, and reminisce. So it's 3 steps that you can use with anything that's happening that can support your child and help them understand what's happening, help them advocate, and then help them go back and kind of review and understand what they have just experienced. So, for example, any family party or going on a trip. Let's talk about going on a trip because spring break is coming up. Like being able to prepare your child. Where are we going? I actually have had many deaf adults who are adults now who tell me, you know what? We got in the car and we started driving and I didn't even know where we went. One time we ended up at the amusement park. I didn't have any idea that we were going to the amusement park and here we were. And they just didn't know that. They didn't know where they were going or how long they were going for, who was going to be there, anything like that. So how we can prepare our children for what's happening, how you can help them engage and feel like they are a really important piece of whatever that activity is, not just somebody who's there and not noticed or anything like that. But then afterwards, being able to revisit, because oftentimes kids misunderstand things. They said, oh, so and so ignored me. I said something to them and they walked away. And I think they were mad at me. And you can say, no, I don't think they were mad at you. They didn't hear you. Just like you don't hear sometimes, they didn't hear you too. And here is what we can do. And you can kind of help shape some of those memories and kind of correct them if there's any misunderstandings or miscommunications, which happens a lot. And then this section here is how you can, we like to say, make magic out of the mundane, how you can do things that seem very ordinary, like eating breakfast or making the bed or folding laundry, and how you can actually make it a really intentional language building activity for you and your child together, which can support them. So this is a special section that is exclusive to the Friend Academy for parents, and it kind of builds off of these parent trainings right here, which is on the impact of hearing loss. Bev Teeter, who does all of these trainings, is a parent of a child. And then she's also a teacher. So she kind of is able to really bring the lens. And her daughter actually has Usher syndrome. So she's able to really kind of bring in a lot of perspectives about the needs of her child into that whole thing. So I cannot say enough how valuable it is to be able to invite parents in to the Friend Academy and walking alongside of them. The last thing I want to wrap up with before I start talking about membership for people, the goal of the online itinerant. The goal of the online itinerant is not to give you more to do. The goal of the online itinerant is not to give you more trainings that you have to attend or more things that you have to look for, or research or more work to do. The goal of the online itinerant is actually to reduce your workload, to actually make it easier for you, that you don't have to pack up your car, that you don't have to search and find things, that you don't have to purchase anything else, but that it's all right here for you and easily accessible for you. That is what we want to do. And so we want to be able to support you to be able to do that. And coming here to this Tuesday tour, being able to come to the power hours, anything like that is to be able to help with that. Now, Thursday, I know it's Tuesday night. Sometimes in the evening, you're like, Stephanie, I don't want to be here in the evening, which usually recorded. So you can also attend it later and check it out at a different time. So Bridget, I see your question. Are there activities related to semantics, like semantic maps? That one there is not. And here is why. The online itinerant typically tries to find things and put things in that are not easy to find elsewhere. So when we're talking about semantic maps, like graphic organizers and different things like that, usually that's fairly common to find inside different literacy and grammar and different things like that. So we don't have it in here yet at this point, but a lot of opportunity to be able to build it in conversation. And there's a lot of language opportunities like that. So thank you for asking that question. Thank you for asking that question. So at this point, I want to go ahead and anybody who is not a member, I would love to invite you to stay on, and I would like to talk about membership and what that looks like, what the cost of that is, what group memberships look like, discounts or anything like that. So if you would like to learn more about that, please stay. If not, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I look forward to seeing you. Now, this Thursday, there's no power hour. I'm actually going to be in Illinois at a teachers conference. So Kristen, I think I'll see you there. Bridget, you're not in Illinois, are you? Okay.
No, I'm in California.
Anyway, oh, California.
Studying.
Well, I'm not going to California. I wish, but I will be at a conference in Illinois this week. But then next Thursday, we do have our training on collaborating with teachers and interpreters. So I look forward to seeing you all there. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, except for if you are not a member, then please hang around and let's chat some more. Thanks, everybody.